Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another video. This is from a comment from Pamela Abbott, and she asked my question is how do I give up alcohol when my husband is my drinking buddy? Um, Before we go on with this, I really appreciate the question, but just for future reference, if people are asking questions and putting problems up, I like the specific that this is one question that you have, but the more details that you can give, without giving too many details away, the better it is for just for a better answer for you. The more specific I can be. So I think it's when you've got somebody in your house who's your drinking partner, your husband or your wife as your drinking partner, it's gonna add a bit more difficulty to it. It's a higher level of difficulty, that's for sure, because you have to navigate alcohol still being in your house. Like if you're giving it up on your own, you command your own house and you can get rid of the alcohol. If nobody else is drinking there, you don't have to have the alcohol there. You can get rid of all the, a lot of stuff that, a lot of the stuff that is going to remind you of the alcohol can be gone. But it's not impossible. This is my case when I stopped. First thing I said to my partner Esther was, "I'm stopping drinking. That's it. I've had enough." And first thing she said was, "I'm not stopping. You do what you want, but I'm not stopping." Right? And I think a lot of that was to do with the fact that all the time that I had been with her, I tried to moderate before. I never tried to stop before. I mean, I stopped for a year, but that was a deliberate stop for a year, and I was going to go back onto it. I had every intention of going back onto it. But because she'd heard all this before, it was kind of and it came out of the blue this time, and it was after my son had gone back to Ireland. We lived in Spain, and I decided to stop drinking because I wanted to be a better father to my son. And the end result was that I thought that she just didn't believe me, and it was, whatever it is, I'm not stopping anyway. I'm not going to go down that road. We'd stopped kind of smoking together. And I think when we've gone through things, kind of we're close enough to each other that when we do things, the other one considers doing it as well. We kind of know where the other person is thinking in advance of what we're doing, if you get what I mean. So for this just came out of the blue, and I think she was kind of shocked by it, and I think she believed that I was going to stop drinking and that I was going to give it a good go. So that was my case. The main thing is that this is your goal, is to stop drinking alcohol, and that has got to have the precedent, right? It's all your reasons for stopping, all the reasons why you've got to the position that you're in now, where you're making that decision, where you feel like this is the time for you, where even though your husband is your drinking partner, it is time to upset that particular apple cart as well, right? And that has got to be, it's something that you have to take into account. Now, I think so long as you're firm in your decision that this is going to happen, and you communicate that decision with your husband, and you say, "Look, there's no pressure on you to stop." I said to Esther, "I'm not asking you to stop. There's no need for you to stop." I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't take the piss afterwards and say, well, get on my soapbox for a little bit. That's always going to happen, right? Because with me anyway, I'm not saying that happens with other people, but there's no pressure on him, and that's what you should communicate with him, that there's no pressure, that he can keep drinking, but the one thing that you would ask is that he respect your decision and try to help you as much as he can, not drinking in front of you, not having the alcohol there in front of you. If it helps you to have the alcohol under lock and key somewhere else, then, have that done for the first while. I mean, once you get down the road with this, that kind of stuff won't matter. Another thing that you can do is just to examine the scenarios in your head before you make the decision. I don't know whether you've told your husband that you're going to do this or not. But the scenarios are that you stop and he thinks, great idea, I'm going to stop as well. I'm going to give it a go. I've heard that time and time again. Maybe your husband is thinking along those lines anyway. I don't know that. I don't know if you know that. Another scenario is you stop and he says, well, I'm not going to stop, but I'll help you as much as I can. Other scenarios are that he's happy about your decision and he helps you as much as he can, or he's not happy about it and he either helps you within that unhappiness of what you're doing, or he doesn't. But you have to ask yourself, what is the most important outcome that you want to have? What is the most important part of this decision? Is it for you to stop drinking alcohol, or is it your relationship? And then you're going down the road of how strong your relationship is. It sounds like if your husband is your buddy, your drinking buddy or not, that it's kind of a strong relationship, hopefully. I think the communication is the main thing here, right? You're explaining why, and you're not just explaining why you're stopping drinking alcohol now and saying, well, like I feel this way, or, this kind of thing is happening in my life, or that is a part of the explanation, but it's also to paint a picture for your future as an individual and together as a couple. How is your relationship going to be in 5 years' time if you continue to do what you're doing? How are you physically going to be? How is your husband physically going to be in 5 years' time or 10 years' time? Right? Just paint that picture of yourself now, paint it in a year, paint it in 10 years' time, and also paint it when you're old and crinkly, right? Like if you continue to do that, what is that going to look like? And oftentimes what you'll find is that opening somebody else's eyes to the possibilities in the future will get them to start thinking. And it's that first step to start thinking of specifically, not generally, about stopping drinking alcohol and what that could mean, but specifically in your relationship, in the two of you, when you get to old age. And once you get to that, and you can get an agreement that you don't want to get to that stage, then you kind of planting the seed, because then you can start saying, well, what's the point in waiting? I'm feeling this now and I don't want to wait any longer. I feel like parts of my life are slipping away. I feel like I'm losing parts of my identity, more parts of my identity, of our identity, to this habit, and I don't want to do that. Do you get what I mean? So it's all about that communication, and think in terms of relationship is going to change anyway. Relationships change regardless of what we do with them. But what we're trying to do, I think, is that when you're deliberate about it, when you're deliberate about the direction that you want your changes to go, then I think the relationship grows and evolves into something better. You evolve around each other then, rather than evolving separately and going down your own path. Like I said, Esther didn't stop until I think she's just past her 6-year mark. So so that's 7 years into my stopping. I was 7 years stopped before she stopped, and it was a personal decision for her. And it didn't bother me. I was going to stop regardless, and I stopped regardless. And I was uncomfortable in the beginning seeing my partner drinking still, but I soon got used to that. Right? It is what it is. A lot of the time when people ask this question, what do I do when my partner is my drinking buddy? What then? And they're trying to get to a place where it's, I don't know, not forcing their partner to stop drinking alcohol, but figuring out how if they don't stop, they are then going to be able to deal with that. So not only deal with their own problems of not drinking, but deal with their husband or wife still drinking. You deal with that. It just comes as part of the process. It's like I said, maybe at the beginning it's a difficult part of it. It's more difficult when your husband or wife drinks because you have to deal with that as well as yourself. But they can help you a lot in terms of how they keep their drinking apart from you. You know, that includes everything, not just seeing it, but smelling it off the breath. And but you get used to it. It's not something that can that has to be a deal breaker, right? It's not something that has to shut down relationships. I think it's possibly a thing that will shut down relationships if the other person is not willing to play ball and is sabotaging. Then that's a different thing. But like I said, and you need to be more specific about questions like this, because then I can give you more specific answers. All right, I hope that that answers your question, Pamela. And I wish you the best of luck. But go for it. It is what it is. You take the decision yourself. You stick to that decision, and all you can commit to is yourself. All you're responsible for is your own drinking. You're not responsible for anyone else's drinking. And you can't commit them to you or to themselves. All you can do is to take the decision and commit to that decision. Step across that line, stop the flow, do the work, move on. Take care of yourself. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.